Hi everyone, my name is Tatiana, and today I'd like to tell you about my object detection project. It's a story about the plants fairy. This fairy wants to find plants and water it. So I will now describe my program code. My project contains two sprites, square box and fairy, and 4 pictures for background. All program code I wrote in file square box py. At the beginning of my program, I declare two objects of sprite type. It's SQ box for sprite square box and fairy for sprite fairy. Also, I import a time package because I will use function sleep many times. After that, I create and init the pen object. It name P. I clear the screen because I don't need old pictures. Then I hide the square box. Next step is initial of my fairy sprite state. I set size to it and set on the beginning position on the stage. Then I switches the costume to the first costume. It's name A. After that, I made a little animation. My fairy fly from the corner to the bottom of the stage. For it, I use for loop, and on each of 16 steps, I set the position of my fairy and set larger size. And there I use sleep function. When our fairy has its normal size, it say us, hello, I'm a plants fairy. In my project, I need some variables for x and y coordinates and size property of fairy sprite. So I declare fairy x variable, fairy y variable, and fairy size variable. Then I create and init object of object detection type. Its name obj, its declaration, and then I set some properties of this object. I set threshold for 0.3. I made many experiments, and I thought this value will be good for my project. Also, I disable the box for obj. After that, I begin the loop. This loop I use for analyze each backdrop from the stage. And I have 4 pictures for backdrop. My loop will make 4 steps. At the beginning of the loop, I call sleep function for 2 seconds, and then our fairy sprite says us, let's find plants. After that, I analyze the stage, and fairy says us about finding object. After that, I create 2 variables. One variable name plants count, and the next variable is the list, and this list will contain the class names of all detected objects. For each detected object, I analyze data. So I use for loop again, but it begins from 1, because in calling functions for object, we must use numbers begin from 1, not from 0. On each step of my loop, I append the class name of detected object to my list L. After that, I equals if our class name is potted plant. If we have such object, I increase the variable plants count, and fairy says us I found plants. After that, I set properties for my square box sprite. I set its x and y coordinates. Also, I set size of my square box. After that, I call the function stamp for pen object, and it will print the square on detected object. After that, I calculate some values for fairy sprite properties and make a little animation. I set fairy sprite size and x and y. I switch the costume to B and called the sleep function for 2 seconds. After that, fairy returned to its normal state. I switch the costume to A and set the position to fairy x and fairy y coordinates, and set fairy sprite normal size, which contains in fairy size variable. I show you my loop for analyzing data from detected object once again. This is my analyzing loop. After this loop, I control if the variable plants count equals to 0. It means that we didn't find any plant on the stage. So fairy says us about it, and then she say class names for detected objects. At the end of my big loop, this loop for each backdrop, I reset values for my variables. I clear it. I set variable plants count to 0. I clear my list and clear my pen objects. Then I switches the backdrop. And now I'm ready to show you how it works. On this picture we can't find plants, only bicycle, person, car. On this picture we found 5 objects and plants. Only 1 plant found on that picture. Here we don't have plants, and here we will find plants. I hope. That's all I wanted to tell you about my project. For me, it was an interesting project. I hope you would like it. Bye bye. Thank you for your attention.